Welcome everybody to episode 8 of the Yalla podcast. And today we have with us Gaia. She will present herself in a few moments. I will just say this is Elik.
Hi.
My name is Alon. And Gaia, please tell us a few things about yourself.
My name is Gaia. I'm 24 years old. I was born and raised in Haifa, and it's currently my main base for most of my political activities. I'm an anti-Zionist activist, and I'm a student in the University of Haifa.
Okay, cool. So we wanted to talk to you today just about your activism, about Zionism in general, about the Palestinian struggle for freedom, and our part in it as Israeli Jews, so-called Israeli Jews, who are anti-Zionist. And maybe let's start by you can just tell us a little bit your life story.
Yeah, sure. So I'll try not to make it too long, but basically, like most Israeli Jews that were born here, I was also part of a very Zionist family, but they consider themselves what is called a leftist Zionists. So
Like my family.
yeah. And in the age of 18, I joined the military, the IDF, and I was very eager to do that. I wanted to be in a combat unit, in their artillery unit, and so I was there for 4 months. I wanted to be like this stereotypical good soldier, I will kill them, but I'll be sad after that. And after 4 months, I got kicked out. Not because I wanted to get kicked out, but because they didn't think I was suitable for the job of being a combat soldier. And then I was in this office job, and then after 1 year and 4 months in the military, I ran away. Somehow I didn't end up in a military prison because my superior officer at the time, he was this pretty awesome guy. Even though that he was in the military, he pretty much understood me and what I went through. And at this period of my life, my ideology wasn't so stable. I was still considered myself a Zionist. I was just really shattered. I was crushed by all those things that I heard and saw in the military. I didn't thought about the IDF as something terrible because it's the IDF, because of the occupation and stuff like that, but I thought it was terrible because it's a terrible organization that treats its own soldiers like trash.
Because you experienced it on yourself.
Yes, and also when I was in the combat division, I heard pretty much all the time, every day, soldiers that were pretty much like me, like around 18 years old to 20 years old. They talk about how they can't wait to shoot a Palestinian and do arrests in the West Bank. I knew in my mind that if I'll be there, I'll also have to do all those things, but somehow it took me to hear those things from other people, to hear how bloodthirsty and violent other people, to understand that I'm also one of them, and it really shook me. But not yet enough to make me critical about the Zionism ideology. I just thought that it's a problem, it's a problem with these people in particular, but it's not like the problem of the IDF. Not all the IDF are like that. Like maybe just the wrong time that I choose to join the military. Maybe it's just in their artillery combat units. It's like that. Maybe it's not like that always. I really pushed it in the back of my mind because the fear of beginning to critically thinking about all the wrongdoings of Zionism really, it scared me a lot, because Zionism for me, for the first 19 years of my life, was pretty much like, it was some kind of comfort for me. Because like what I said, I come from a Zionist family. I was raised, like I bet like two of you, in this, that Zionism, it's the right thing to do, that it protects the Jewish people, that like every other teenager in Israel, you need to get drafted to the IDF, and you need to do that so the Jewish people will be alive, so the Palestinian will not win and then kill us all. Like it was my comfort. It was my comfort word. I didn't thought about what it really means.
So when you say comfort, like why did you feel that you needed comforting, and how exactly did it help you feel this? Before the military, I didn't treat it as a comfort ideology. It was just my ideology. I was a leftist Zionist, whatever that means. And after all those things that I heard and saw in the military, and after I ran away, I really tried to hold on to it, because slowly I began to experience, willingly and also unwillingly, those other aspects of what the Zionism do. Like I visited the West Bank for the first time in my life. This was as a soldier?
No, it was after I ran away. I visited in the West Bank. And
please, you say you ran away.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about like how this?
It's not really that dramatic. I was in a really, I was in a pretty shit position in the military in the last month of my service. I was like mentally really crushed from everything. I felt alone. I felt deserted. I felt like life has no meaning anymore. Like the military for me, like I'm not coming. From the most stable family, so all those years that I prepared myself mentally and also physically to be in the military, I imagined myself to be like an escapism for me, that it will change my world, that I will be this new and improved person, that I will be managed to run away from all those things that happened to me in my childhood till the age of 18. And it didn't happen. It happened actually the other way around.
To start something completely new,
yeah.
Right? Like you go and it's point blank. Yeah.
Because that's like a lot of time that's how they promoted themselves. Like if you go to any like to all those avenues that the military does before the draft, the day of the drafting, like they always say like. It will change you as a person. That's how they say it. That's how they promote it. And I believe that really, really easily because my parents also said it to me.
So funny now when I think about it. It's like, because actually they take you to some kind of prison, right? That's kind of what it is in the reality. And it also prison is the opportunity to start something new.
Technically it is.
It is, yeah. So after a year, 4 months, we were in like a vacation for some holiday. I think it was Hanukkah or something.
Okay.
From the military, and like nothing really dramatic happened. I just like spent time alone and thinking, and sometimes also with my friends, and it made me realize how miserable I am with the life that I created myself in the military. So on the last day of the holiday, I texted my superior officer, my commander, hi, name, I won't say his name, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to come back tomorrow.
Wow.
And then he wrote me back like, what do you mean you're not coming back tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to come back. I don't care if you're going to put me in prison. Like, I'm trying to really make you understand how miserable I was. Like, yes. I also did like pretty much a lot of drugs in the military inside the camps of the IDF and also outside. I didn't care if I would get arrested because of drug use or because of
just so people understand. It's sometimes there are random drug tests in the Israeli military. It's not often, but it's always a risk. So if you're a soldier and you do drugs, it's a risk. That you're taking.
And they don't take it lightly most of the times, drugs. And I didn't come back to the military. And like I said before, my commander, he was a pretty chill guy. He saw and he understood what I was going through as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So he had the full power in him if he wanted to put me on trial and to set me to prison, but he didn't do that. Instead, he sent me to a military psychologist, and she released me, discharged me.
Yeah, so Kaban, right?
Kaban, yes.
So Kaban means mental health officer. And I remember that when I was in the military, every single day I had a thought, maybe I should go see a Kaban. Because this is like the first step in freeing yourself from this. You go to the Kaban, you say, I cannot do this anymore, I want to kill myself, you present yourself as insane, and this is like a start of a process to get out of the military. Exactly. I never did that, but every day I had this thought, maybe I should go see a Kaban.
I saw a Kabanit, she was a woman, pretty much a lot during my military time. Because I struggled with depression and self-destruction, and she didn't really care. Like I told her, I'm going to shoot myself. I hate it here. She didn't care at all. She was like, it's sad. I understand you.
If they would, I think it's such a depressing environment, right? So if every depressed soldier they would have to release like half of the military. So I think they don't release that easily.
But then you look at the data and you see how much soldiers are killing themselves. And it's a lot.
It's a lot, huh?
Yeah, and there's a lot of obfuscation around it. I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, there was a big expose that this independent journalist did. His name is Ashton. And he did some research. He tried to get the data. It's very obfuscated. It was very difficult for him. He had to do like calculations and deductions, and he kind of deduced that the numbers of soldiers who kill themselves is way higher than is reported, and that a much larger percentage than we imagine of the fallen soldiers are actually people who like young people who feel very shitty and have access to weapons because they're in the military, and then they take their own lives.
And it's pretty mind-blowing for me to think that if I hadn't ran away from the military, I probably would have ended up being a part of this percentage of soldiers that kill themselves, because they couldn't really handle it anymore. And like, and in the military they didn't care. I was like a lot of time guarding the camps, and they gave me a weapon, even though that I told them that I can't be trusted with a weapon.
Wow. It's amazing. Wow, so you were really lucky with this commander, actually.
Really lucky. Yeah, it's just luck. It's really only luck. And so I ran away from the military. I moved out from my parents' house. I lived with my friends. I visited the West Bank a couple of times because after the military, after all this experience, I was shook to my core, and I was like, I think like 2 years after the military, every time that I tried to talk to people about my experience there, like it just instantly brought me to tears, and like I was shaking, like I couldn't really talk it anymore. Like now I can, and like maybe I'm smiling a bit, but like because I processed it a lot. It's been like 5 years since then, and it's still like a trauma in process. Like I don't think that I still really really understand completely what happened there.
just made me think about all our fucking society, how many people carry like crazy trauma inside them, and they're somehow we are in this system that people like can just push it away and move on. I don't know how they do it, but most of the people, that's what they do, right?
Yeah, they just like here in the Israeli culture, that's mostly like oh shit, איך אומרים מקדשת? Sanctifies like this militarism and the usage of power over words. So it's pretty obvious, sadly, that we don't really take it serious mental health. Not even for the IDF soldier that we're supposedly supposed to like care about them. A lot of like IDF veterans that comes back from war, and they're like so traumatized that they also kill themselves after.
Yes.
And
this does not go into the statistics at all, right? The people who carry trauma and then they take their own lives while not in active service, but this is also a result of this.
Exactly, and they're not considered like an IDF soldier that fell during combat, even though it's directly related to the combat. And in a society where people mostly care about militarism, and from the second that you're like out from your mother's womb to the world, they ask you which military unit you want to go to until the minute you die. You like the people keep asking you what you did in the military. Like it's pretty much the only thing that matters to people here. So it's pretty obvious why people carry with themselves so much anger and betrayal and sadness that they don't know how to express, now to let go of.
And then they take it out on people like us when they say, I came back, I fought for you, right? Yeah. We will get to it later that you will share your experience with that. But,
and I think a lot of people ask us, they send me messages, I know, and they ask how or leave comments, and they say, how is it possible that the society is so deranged? How is it possible that people express themselves in this manner, behave in this way? And I think that this trauma that we are now speaking of it's a big part of it. That this trauma exists and people carry this trauma, and it's a collective trauma.
And I think it's funny the question about how a society can be so deranged, like so brainwashed. Like I don't know what your opinion about it, but in my opinion, it's really mandatory for us, especially as activists, to compare what's going on here to the social and cultural changes that also happened in Germany during the 30s and the 40s that led to the Holocaust. Like these people didn't thought anything wrong with killing Jews. They didn't care about propaganda in the radio against Jews, against gypsies, against handicapped. They didn't really care about that. They just wanted to make the world a better place. They wanted. They believed that the existence of Jewish people is a risk to the entire world. That's pretty much justified for them the extinctions of the Jewish people. And now we use pretty much the same propaganda and the same justification for the genocide in Gaza, for the ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, for the apartheid that we're currently living at right now.
Yeah, do you know this famous Himmler speech? Sometimes you're reminded that he tells like German soldiers who have to like, I think SS soldiers that have to kill Jews, he tells them like, listen, I know it's hard, I know like it's against it's against your humanity and your reason, but we have to do it for the greater good.
Exactly.
That's what he tells them,
And I think for me, it really angers me to see that Zionism makes people Nazis. They use the same exact words that Nazis used to describe Palestinians. For example, on Monday during the protests, There was this girl with a camera that while the military chased us around the street with horses and with weapons and everything, it was a riot. And this one girl, there was like this tiny Zionist protest on the other hand of the street.
So you're speaking about this week?
Yes.
Okay, you will tell more about
yes,
this protest,
but
just this.
Yes,
part, yeah.
and this girl, she screamed at us, "Rats! You're rats! Look at how these rats are running from the street!" And like, Jews are rats too. Yeah.
But what strikes me is like we all learned about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us, like how they use the same language they have now. Like they learned about it in school. These people who are using this language, it's like
It's a complete split of their consciousness. It's so
Exactly.
weird, and it's funny because they push these supposed lessons on us again and again and again. The Holocaust studies is like one of the major subjects of our education in the Israeli school system, and then and it's supposed to be like this big deal that we all understand and we all think about all the time, and then they just use the same argument and they don't hear themselves.
How do we explain this? Do you have an explanation for that? That Holocaust is like prompt to our brain all the time, but still no one like does that. So
Israel as a state doesn't have any limits, moral limits about what they'll do to achieve their goal of a full Jewish state. And you can see it not just by justifications of the Holocaust used to commit another Holocaust against the Palestinians. You can see it like with like every time there's like a rape of a woman by a Palestinian. I don't even talk about the 7th of October, even before that. Every time something happened to a woman, it doesn't even matter if it have to be related to the struggles against the occupation. It can be just men being disgusting and perverts and out of control.
Like men of every race
Yes.
and ethnicity
Yeah.
can be.
But you see how the Israel takes these tragedies and transform them to their own cynical use of hatred.
and that's how history goes since the beginning, right? The Palestinians do something and then okay, that's an excuse to go for another phase of I don't know, ethnic cleansing, whatever. Like but let's go a bit, because I want to understand like how did you get to the full realization? I remember like I wanted to have you on when I saw a video of you like in the Yom HaAdama, I think it was, that you were saying like in a very like strong, and it was in Hebrew, and I was like, fuck, I didn't hear so many people here saying it's like talking about the ongoing Nakba, like and I was like, yeah, I want to talk to her. Like I need to. And I wanted to hear because at some point it clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The full realization about what's going on
No,
here.
it does. Because the Israeli education system pretty much builds itself upon lies, upon only telling not even half the truth, just plain lies about everything that happened, and be sure that after this war will happen, Israel will rewrite it so it can describe himself in the best possible ways to the Israeli school children.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, I thought I knew the whole picture. I thought I knew about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which I hate pretty much. I hate this word, a conflict. Yeah. It's not a conflict. It's a nakba.
Technically, I guess it is a conflict.
Yeah.
But only in the most technical of ways.
Yes.
If you come to someone's house and you kick him out, there's
it's a conflict.
Yeah.
But I don't like that it's flattened problem.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And so I thought I knew the truth. So after I visited the West Bank and talked for, I think the first time in my life with Palestinians, some were activists, some were just people that try to live their life peacefully. After also in a pretty random way, I also met with some anti-Zionist Jewish Israeli, really by chance, and it was pretty much for the first time that I heard people like me that speaks Hebrew, that are consider themselves Israeli in some sort of way, talk about the Palestinian struggle. And in the first time that I heard them talking about it, I felt really angry because I felt like how dare you to say all those things? Like, you're shaming the Jewish state. Like, how can you say that all those things?
But now you find yourself on the other side, right?
Yes.
You find yourself facing this anger, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And in some level, I feel to left-wing Zionists, I feel it's even more hard because we have this vision that, but I am critical person, right? I am like you don't you always look at the settlers. These are the bad guys.
But no, actually, Zionists left with their delusion of how they perceive themselves as democratic and as this woke people of Israel, because they don't really care about killing Palestinians, but they'll cry about it. So because they're so sad that they commit.
Let's just
crimes.
say to our audience, there is an expression in Hebrew. It's an actual expression. Yorim vebuchim.
Yeah.
That means we shoot and then we cry.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, I think, the most suitable expression for a leftist Zionist.
Yeah.
And I think they even, in some way, to me, they are even worse than the violent settlers in the West Bank, because they don't even realize the damage that they do. They don't try to make any change. They just try to preserve the reality, the apartheid. They don't even realize that. They think that they're doing something good while only opposing settlers, but not opposing wars, but not acknowledging the fascism and oppression that Palestinians everywhere are facing, not only on the West Bank, also here.
Yes.
Here, they are doing much more damage because they're trying to make Israel look like a democracy, which is not, because they themselves try to act democracy.
Yeah, it's democracy, but we have this problem of occupation that we will solve one day. We're on the way, that's how we
Israel always has asterisks on things, and the asterisks are the most important. Like, we're a democracy, asterisk, for half of the population, right? For maybe let's say 60% of the population.
Yeah.
And when you really zoom in on those asterisks, then the full picture becomes apparent. But I want to ask you. You said that you became upset when you heard the anti-Zionist Jews telling about the Palestinian struggle, and again we all felt this anger, and I feel like in the vast majority of cases it's a wall that cannot be broken. Why and how was it broken for you? Like, what happened after you got upset, and how did you start listening, and how did you change your mind?
So, I began this process of really re-educating myself, because I am, even when I was this Zionist, I still was pretty much still open-minded for new experience and learning, which is sadly it's not a trait that most Zionists have.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I was willingly going to the West Bank to hear Palestinians talk about their experience. I was willingly took courses about the history of the Middle East, because I wanted to know what they hid from me for so long. And I can only describe it as a slap in the face.
Please tell us, okay, yeah. So please tell us the chronology of this, because I'm a bit confused. What happened before? What happened after? What made you go to the West Bank? Like, I'm telling you, I will tell you why I'm asking, because I feel like our audience is really curious. What separates between people who go deeply into this cult and other people who free themselves from this cult. What is the difference, and how can we help other people step out, or how can we pull them out of this? And I feel like if we look at our own stories, then we can get some hints on how to do it.
But it's interesting because what you said about open-mindedness is a lot. Because I remember like when I read like the Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine by Ilan Pape, I was just curious, you know. I didn't know that this is how reality is being described. Like I knew that some people describe it, so maybe, I don't know, I just thought maybe this open-mindedness and curiosity, I guess, is a big part of it, right? I don't know. But yeah, maybe you say how it was for you.
For me, I have to say it's not because something happened to me in particular, some experience. It's really like this random things that happened over the course of some time that made me really consider the entire 19 years of my life, about the things that I was taught, and like why did I experience these things in the military, like what these children, because we were children 18 till 20, like I really wanted to figure out what caused them to be so bloodthirsty that they are so open to say that they want to commit war crimes. I think there's a lot of discussion about what you asked me, about how we can, even if we should, try to talk to Zionists.
Yes.
Listen, I don't think that we'll get, that we'll be saved by Zionists. I don't think the Zionists will cause here a revolution. I don't think, I think the change will happen because of the Palestinian resistance within and without, and because of international boycott pressure of Israel. I think it's I was one of those people that really took it as their job to try to talk to Zionists for some time about trying to make them realize what's happening, about what is it what is it the oppression the Palestinian people are facing, and it's a really it's not only didn't I'm not sure it didn't work, because a lot of them, again, they're like leftist Zionists, and you can see it in the anti-occupation bloc of Haifa, that like a lot of the people there, a lot of the protesters there, that if people don't know, the anti-occupation bloc of Haifa is part of a bigger protest that started from the protest against the judicial reform, and now it's for the kidnapped.
So basically a protest against Bibi Netanyahu and his government.
Yes. And so you could see like these people wearing shirts that like saying like
Stop the occupation.
Stop the occupation. There's no democracy with occupation. But on the other hand, they're singing the national anthem, and they're like waving the Israeli flags without actually seeing how ironic and actually sad that is. It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. You need to choose a side. You can't be both. You can't do that.
That's the problem, and we are so that you can be.
That's why I said before that what they're doing is actually more damaging in some ways and actually helping us.
So I think we can see a pattern here that. So we were talking with Yuval Mann in the previous episode.
I thought you were going to mention Yuval Noah Harari, because he exactly, we just saw an interview.
There are many
Yuvals. Why do you have to choose? You can still think Israel can exist and also be pro-Palestinians, and we saw it and we're like,
No.
So let's compare two Yuvals. So we were talking to Yuval Mann, and we kind of raised this point of Zionists trying to hold on to something. And I feel like, so they have a hard time letting go of something. Their identity, something that is very integral to their identity, the Zionism.
Because like I said before, it's comforting.
Yes, okay, so maybe we will go back to that even more. But then you need to hold two things that cannot really coexist. And the way that they kind of solve this paradox is they say, they invent a scapegoat, right? They go, what is the problem? The problem is Netanyahu. The problem is the settlers. The problem is Ben Gvir. The problem is the occupation, and so forth and so on. So they want to say the problem is this, not the thing that I want to hold on to, but another thing that I don't care about. That's the problem. And then they can pretend that they can go on holding both things at the same time.
You can't be against the occupation without realizing that when the occupation will end, it will change our lives. It won't be anything like we knew before that, and you need to be ready for that. And I don't think that most of the people that these Zionists left really ready for that. They don't want that people will take their privilege. They don't want to stop being superior to Palestinians by law. They don't want that. They're not willing to do that. So it's very easy for them to try to show themselves as this democratic, very enlightening person.
Yes.
With yes, this settler is a bad person, but I am not a bad person because I recognize that he is a bad person. But he doesn't even doesn't even realize that he himself a settler.
Yes.
But if I have to play for a second, how do you call it? The devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Yes.
In it, like my father, and then he said, but why? I'm against the occupation. I want them to have an independent state. They will have their own state. We will take the settlers out. And then we're gonna have democracy because okay, it's not perfect, but we will give as much as we can civil rights to the Palestinians who remain citizens, and
as
then
much
they
as
have,
possible, sure.
yeah, that's what they
We'll
they
treat
say.
our slaves nice, like those, the slave owners.
Yeah. So you are right.
I'll be a nice slave owner to my slaves.
You're right, I think, but I do want to try to give this kind of argument a better reply. Maybe let's go a little bit deeper, if you don't ridicule, okay? And I want to hear your answer, because Elik and I we give our answers in our podcast, but we want to give you a chance. Maybe how let's say you hear this kind of argument. How do you seriously answer it?
It doesn't solve any problem. It just pushes it aside, and it just this peace solution. It's only a money. Temporary solution to a much bigger problem of an ethnic country, because the people here they won't realize that Zionism is actually a poison. But actually, you know what? I'm taking it back. I won't talk to this kind of person about Zionism, because if we're really trying to convince them, fine, I'll go your way. And it's only a matter of time until a resistance to this kind of solution will grow bigger and stronger, no matter if it will be a violent Palestinian resistance or Jewish resistance, because the Jewish state, Jewish people will not be ready to share this land with other people. Definitely not in a two-state solution, because it's weird. It's like you're saying that Palestine is only this small land that lives near us, that we're just temporarily conquered, and we're willing to give them back without realizing that actually we're currently living on Palestine.
Yeah.
And it won't even solve all the Palestinian refugees in the neighboring states. What will they do? Will they left out? They're still refugees. They don't have any rights there.
Somebody else.
There are Arabs. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't the Arab countries take them? Yeah. Or they can come back. I don't know what's the answer.
I think that we've learned in the past few months that the Arab countries, not the people actually, but the governments of those Arab countries, they don't really care about the Palestinian struggle for freedom. they care mostly about money, like most states, and they betrayed the Palestinian people.
Yes. Yeah, we heard it from our last guest, right, from Dana, how only like the elites of the Arab states are really like they just don't want to have anything to do with it, right?
Yes.
That's what you described.
Which is pretty similar to the liberals here, right?
Yeah.
It's the same. They just want to repress everything, pretend like nothing is wrong, and continue with their own lives, their own comfortable lives.
Two-state solution, it's exactly like that. It really doesn't solve anything. It's just a continuation of the Nakba. It's just making people to...
Yeah, and it's also not telling the honest truth about, like, they want to pretend like the conflict started in 67 when Israel, like, took over. Like,
because
ignore
it's so easy. It's so easy if it happened in 67. It's so easy to believe in it.
Yeah. For many years, for me, that was the reality. Like, it started in 67. Before that, everything was perfect, and there was some stuff before, but and I had these made-up excuses.
For me too.
Yeah.
I remember in let's say early November, I read this post by I don't remember her name, this Zionist leftist woman, and it started with now I understand that the problem is 48 and not 67. But it wasn't a post about how she understood what the problem is, so now she wants to solve the problem from the root. It was a post about how she sobered up, she sobered up in the wrong direction, okay? Yeah. So October 7th made her realize that the problem is 48 and not 67, and therefore the way that we need to solve the problem is, she didn't use these words, but what she meant is genocide. It's like, we need to destroy Hamas now. Because the problem is 48. I didn't understand that the Palestinians still think about this entire area as something that is their land. I thought that they only cared about...
Palestinians never stopped saying that 48 is the problem, right?
Exactly.
It's like, you made something in your own mind, you decided that this is the solution.
This is what we say about Yuval Noah Harari, right? Yeah. That he has this master mindset, right? That he decides what the correct solution is, and then he will say to the Palestinians, this is what you need to accept, without talking even once to a single Palestinian.
Israel as a society, and it's forced by the Israeli education system in a very early age, doesn't encourage, that, they don't encourage a dialogue with Palestinian people because they fear the Zionist state is fearing that it will cause, I think, what it caused me, like this feeling of a slap in the face of everything that we thought before. So it's, for me, like, it's not even a surprise that a grown man spent decades of his life without talking to a single Palestinian person.
We don't know this for a fact,
cashier.
but we know for a fact that he didn't listen. Yeah,
no, they can talk, but it's different to say hi or just hear their opinions and like immediately dismiss them as anti-Semitism or stupidity. Like a lot of times, that's what's really happening in Zionist
or religious
minds.
fanaticism.
Yes. Or they're radical. A lot of times they say they're too radical. We can't go along with these radical Palestinians. No, they only want like this good Palestinian kind of type, like Yosef Haddad. These people, they're very, very willing to listen to them. Really listen to them because they hear what they.
Can you tell a little bit about Yosef Haddad for our audience that doesn't know all the inner workings? Just say a few words about this guy.
I say his name and like I immediately like my heart is like pounding. Like I really want to. God, I don't like this guy. He's actually more Zionist than most Zionists I know. He doesn't consider himself a Palestinian because consider yourself a Palestinian means that you consider Palestine.
Yes.
So he considers himself in Arab Israeli. Mm-hmm. He speaks Arabic, and he joined he was in the military. He was in a combat unit, and right now he is doing what is called hasbara, with his girlfriend. Asbara, in a direct translation, is, I think, explanation.
He's doing it together with his girlfriend?
Yeah. No, his girlfriend is like really involved with that. They're like a power couple.
And his girlfriend is also Arab Israeli?
No, she's American.
Oh, she's American.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's American. My name is Emily, I think. And together they are going to like...
this Emily that goes in all this show, this blonde, disgusting...
Yes, this blonde, disgusting woman. Yes, exactly. And
I can see the neurons connecting in Eric's mind. He's like, oh.
And so their favorite activity, this power couple, is to go to like campuses abroad and also here in Israel and harass Palestinian students that are protesting or just living their life while Palestinian. And a lot of times, like this video was burned in my mind of Yosef Haddad screaming and waving violently this Israeli flag in front of Palestinian students and trying to run away from him. This guy is so violent.
Yes.
It's not even, it's above, it's, yes, of course he betrayed the Palestinian people. He's a bloodthirsty maniac. And he's also very open about how violent he is, because he's actually really taking pride of it. Every time that he screams at anti-Zionists, he's just like posting it everywhere, and he's like so proud of it. And everybody that's following him is obviously Zionists too, and they're like encouraging him. So of course he'll take pride of it. That's it's more
yes, there is a lot of rewards in Israeli society for anyone who supports Zionism. And if you're a Palestinian, Yosef, you're a Palestinian.
Yeah.
My friend, you're a Palestinian.
You're
I'm
living
sorry.
in denial.
But the point is that if you're a Palestinian and you start cooperating with Zionism, they will put you on a big throne, right?
Yeah.
Because then they can say, look, these are the good Arabs. So why are you insisting on being a bad Arab? Just be a good Arab and everything will be okay. But the thing is that if Yosef Haddad changes his mind, then immediately he will lose all the privileges that he acquired.
And he keeps saying he represents strong, like that there's a lot of like Arabs, like he says, that thinks like him in Israel. But I think like he's not right. The people who actually use this, like who did this process of trying to like, there are very few, right? I don't know. Like,
there are Arabs in the military. There are Druzim in the military, a lot Druzim, less Arabs. All of the Arabs that go to the IDF, I'm guessing, nobody really did any experiment about it. I'm guessing they're not really identify themselves Palestinians.
Yeah. But I mean, if you identify as a Palestinian, let's just explain to our audience again. The Israeli military is obligatory conscription. Conscription? What is the word? You understand me? You have to go to the Israeli military if you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're Jewish, you have to go to the Israeli military. If you're Arab Israeli, you don't have to go to the Israeli military. So this guy, Yosef Haddad, volunteered. He voluntarily said, please take me to kill Palestinians. Take me to contribute to this war machine that is killing my people. And you know, Israelis call us traitors all the time, every single day.
I take it as a badge of honor.
Yes. But this guy, now there's a traitor for you.
Yeah, he's a real traitor, in my opinion. And also, how I see it, it's not enough that a Palestinian, like, again, I'm not in a position to tell any Palestinian person what to do in their life. It's not fair. It's very Jewish supremacy for me. But like, for me, it doesn't end only in the IDF. For me, I don't think that Palestinian people should also join like to be a cop. Like, for me, it's like police everywhere, not only in Israel. There are rooted in violence. It's a violent organization because his role in this game of a state is to actually oppress its citizens, it's to maintain them for expressing themselves a lot of time, for expressing their resistance of something wrong in their state. And yeah, obviously it's like it's supposed to stop crime and stuff like that. Sure. When most of the criminals are in the police, so I guess it's pretty hard to stop crime like that. And like, I just want to tell a story that one time I was arrested because I waved the Palestinian flag. This was before the 7th of October even, here in Haifa, in the German colony, and I was arrested. And while I was in the police station, I was still in the police car, and this guy, he was Arab. He came to me and he was asking me why did you get arrested, and I told him.
So this was a policeman.
Yeah, he was a policeman. Yes, and he asked me why was I get arrested, and I told him very real because I waved the Palestinian flag in a protest, and then he just he rolled up his sleeve, again a police officer, and showed me like this huge tattoo of the Palestinian flag, and I was like horrified. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. I think that in his eyes, he's like trying to like maybe comfort me or like to show some kind of sick solidarity. But like I was actually like, what are you doing? I was just arrested because of that flag, not because of that flag, because of you.
Yeah.
I was arrested because of you, because I was waving the flag that you're like showing off to me. You're one of the oppressors.
But that is so weird. Like I am shocked by this story. So first of all, I'm asking myself, how does he walk around? Like, does he hide this tattoo at all times?
Like, I think it's not really that hard to hide tattoos in the police because they have like this uniform which are always like long, and like I think if I remember right, his tattoo was like here, so he just like rolled it like here, and then there was like a giant tattoo.
So do you think that to him he is like part of the resistance by joining the Israeli police forces?
I think that
it's just a job, maybe.
I think that in his eyes, again, like all those leftist Zionists are joining the military to be the good soldier. So he's like joining the police force to be like this good cop.
Yeah, to influence from inside, right?
Yes.
To change from inside, change the system from inside.
And like, I'm not buying that. Like, you want to change the system, don't join the system. Don't be a part of it. You are supporting it by joining it. Doesn't matter if you're like coming with supposedly good intentions. It doesn't matter. You are harming. You are damaging the resistance. There's like one less guy because instead of actually resisting to the occupation, you're maintaining it.
Yes. It's weird, this thing we hear a lot, right? Me as like growing in left-wing Zionist area, they say, no, you have to go to the army in order to change it from within.
Because if you don't go there, only the bad people will go there, right?
Yeah.
And the IDF turns, even if you're not like living the IDF traumatic and like without doing any noticeable war crimes, just like the regular war crimes, like it doesn't matter. The military changed you.
Yeah.
Now you're a war criminal. For me, you will forever be this guy that was in a period of his life a war criminal. And I say it because I was very willing to also be a war criminal for the cause of a Jewish state, of to be this good soldier, these night soldiers while I'm arresting 9-year-olds because he threw a rock at me while I'm in a full
You actually
full
did
gear.
that?
No,
you okay,
I
could have.
Yeah, I could have.
Okay, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I have a thought that I need to express here because I'm thinking like, how does this sound? How does this look to people? 3 Israeli Jews, people who were forced, the Israeli Jewish identity was forced upon, talking about the Palestinian struggle for liberation and criticizing an actual Palestinian for the choices that they make. And I think from the point of view of identity politics, this would look not just weird, but like a cardinal sin,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the poverty of identity politics. This demonstrates the limits of identity politics, because you see that your identity doesn't really determine your actions. It doesn't determine your positions. And I think when we are doing this discussion, we need to say to the audience, so that no one is upset with us, that we come to this from a place of analyzing systems of supremacy, of control, of oppression, and we want to dismantle those systems. And our identities, they were forced on us by these systems, and therefore, and we reject those identities. Yes, they are part of our history, and they determine our privilege inside the system. But first of all, we want to dismantle this system.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's really like what you said. It's very easy to see what we're doing right now is like, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's not mansplaining. Like, I only want to say juice-plaining.
Juice-plaining.
But I think it's actually important to do that. I don't think it's important to only do that. I think we actually need to go out to the streets and try to make the Palestinian identity to be visible in the public space, and to actually encourage the Palestinian nationality to rise up every chance we get. And but it starts, this kind of activity sometimes starts by three random people that are sitting on the couch and talking. Like, that's how things are happening. And all those things that we're talking about right now, all of us, I think, probably talked about it with Palestinians.
Yes.
Because for me, it's very frustrating to see that. To see an Arab person going to the IDF every time. I'm just like, I have this furiousness. I don't know if it's the rage.
Shorter word.
Yes. That like it took me like a lot of time to actually articulate in my mind, why am I so angry at this man that is just trying to survive. Like, I know it's a survival method.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, that I want to look at it with more empathy or some compassion, because I thought, like, first of all, we're all put in a very difficult situation, but like, I think maybe for him is putting this tattoo is saying like, I'm trying to save my own soul for not being completely taken by this, and like his life situation put into that. Like, I can.
That's what I wanted to say. Like, my heart to the Arabs that are willing to join the military. I've been punched and kicked too many times to feel any kind of empathy, sympathy, or sorry for any soldier, no matter what his identity, no matter what tattoos he have on his body, no matter he is a part of a ruthless systems which is violent. So I'm sorry if you had a tough childhood that you only escaped from it. Like me, again, from the IDF, or for him, it's through the police. Get out of there.
Yeah. Maybe he will see it and I don't know.
And change his mind.
This is what we were talking about with Yuval in the previous episode. How can we do this, juggling act of, like, at the same time hold our compassion for people who cooperate with the system, because it makes your life more convenient, or even sometimes marginally bearable. And opposing this system is very, very difficult on a material level, on a social level, on a psychological level, on every level. And so we can hold this compassion on one side and still be angry, still criticize deeply and heavily, and still do whatever we can to say without any hesitation that we want to dismantle this system completely. I think this is like the bottom line that we always have to keep in our minds.
Yeah. Do you want to move more a bit to describe your activism now, or what happened?
I am still curious. You said that you went to visit the West Bank, okay?
Yes.
And this was one of the first stages in your process of releasing yourself from this system. What made you go there? What was this experience
Again,
like?
pretty much random. I think I was pretty active in the Black Flags protests that were in Israel back in the Corona time.
Okay.
It was against again pretty much against Netanyahu.
Okay.
It was like explanation. It was like this short
In
kind of
Balfour, or
it was in Balfour exactly. It was like a short wave of some kinds of protests that took. That's what sparked it is how the state managed the Corona crisis here.
Okay.
And I took pretty active part of it. I organized protests and things like that around Haifa, and after that, like, I managed, and through this kind of protest, I found some anti-Zionist people for the first time in my life that also joined these protests, and by them, they joined me to like all these kinds of like WhatsApp groups that I wasn't really active in them, but in one of those WhatsApp groups there was like this signing up link to a visit in the West Bank.
Oh, okay.
And and I saw that and I was like, all right, let's see what they have to offer. Like I didn't thought it will do anything to me, and like the radicalization for me started even before that. Like for me it started already from the military, but like for the first time I was like, yeah, let's see what these guys have to say.
So just so things are clear, you talked to anti-Zionist Israelis, Jewish Israelis. You were like, no, what you're saying, I'm angry with you.
You're too radical for me.
Yes, you're too radical for me. You're crazy.
Yeah.
I am critical, but you're crazy.
Yeah.
You were extreme.
Yes,
you're extreme.
And then this led you to go visit the West Bank and to talk to some actual Palestinians.
Yeah.
And what did they tell you?
Wow.
Like, what was the first encounter? What was the first conversation, if you remember?
All right. So the first thing I think that I just like immediately pops up in my mind that I'm not sure about. I talked to two of them. I'm not sure about the other, but I know one of them did spoke Hebrew, but he chose not to, even though he knew that he talks with mostly Hebrew-speaking population. We were like a group of like 20 people, I think, and for the first time, I began to try to think like, why he doesn't want to talk Hebrew to us? Like, I was pretty confused by that, and then we asked him. His house was subject to a lot of visits from the IDF, a lot, and I follow him still on Instagram. He's still very struggling there. They vandalized his house a couple of times. The terror attacks there are just getting more and more aggressive through time, and like he just really talked about like honestly, like he talked about the fact that he works in construction, but like, and I remember because like if it kind of looked like he just came back from work because he like a bit like dirty here and stuff, and like I remember just looking at his hands and I was like, all right, like a man of job, a man of work.
Yes.
And like, but then like he began to talk about how hard it is to even just leaving and coming back from work because it doesn't even sure if he'll come back today, tomorrow, or not at all. And he talked about about the fact that they have a lot of time food shortage because they can't go to the grocery store because they don't know if they'll get arrested or killed by the military or by the settlers, and maybe because you'll go to the grocery store near his house, but it will be a lot of time what the military does. If people don't know, they go to these businesses in the West Bank and they like forcibly shut it because they have all kind of excuses, because they heard something, found something, and sometimes they arrest the people that work there. So a lot of time they can go to buy food for themselves and for their family and come back very empty-handed.
Yes.
And they talked about I don't think it's really talked about enough in their international community. It's a shame about the water apartheid in the West Bank.
Yes.
And he talked about it a lot. And I remember thinking maybe he didn't wash his hands because he didn't have any water before he came talking to us. I don't know. I didn't really ask him that. I didn't find the courage in me to ask him.
Was this like a situation of like a lecture? Was this organized? Was this structured?
Yeah, it was organized.
What exactly was this kind of?
It was organized by Breaking Silence,
Yes.
the organization of soldiers that it's like a collection of testimonies by sometimes ex-soldiers, sometimes current soldiers about.
And they are still Zionists, right?
A lot of them are still Zionists, and I have a lot of.
I can't understand.
I have a lot of criticism about Breaking Silence because I actually think it's good that what you're doing about collecting testimonies about war crimes on the 67 territories, but like on the other hand, they don't make any actual statement about what they think it's a solution. They don't really say.
And they don't call for a fuse. This is
yeah,
also
exactly. And I think in my imagination, if they will call to refuse, it will actually mean a lot. It will be like one of the strongest, maybe the strongest organization of refusals in Israel. I think they'll have like a lot of power in them, and it's really upsets me that they don't do anything with what they have right now.
So this we kind of flowed into another subject that we wanted to talk about. Like, so what I imagine their argument is, and I don't know, I didn't talk to them, but maybe their argument is we want to be listened to, right? We don't want to say we don't want to be political, right? We won't say any concrete thing because we want the information to actually get to people.
Yeah, we just show you and you draw your own conclusion. That's kind of their decision, something like this.
I think so.
I'm imagining this, but let's admit it. This organization is still completely hated in Israel.
Exactly.
Like 100. Like you cannot be more hated than Breaking the Silence in Israel, right?
Yeah. Like I think in this point they don't have anything to lose if they will call to a refusal. They're already considered a traitor. They're already considered friends of the BDS. Like that's the worst curse a person can have.
Yes.
Apparently, like just do it. You're already considered radical, even though you're not radical in any kind of way.
That's what I wanted to say, right? That you always make compromises, and at the end you're being hated in the same way.
So fuck it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So maybe we'll continue the story after, but just tell us your opinion about leftists or so-called leftists who want to compromise. What are your thoughts about this? Is it productive? Does it help? How should we actually
compromise
operate?
what?
Okay,
to compromise what?
Yes.
The Palestinian human rights? To
that's
compromise
the question, yeah.
Peace solution? I think every compromise that I ever heard a Zionist ever suggest, no matter if he's a politician or just a random person, like every compromise is just like they compromise their land, their human rights, and you get to keep still your privileges, but we'll take like maybe one of them or something.
Yes.
So that's not a compromise to anyone.
Yeah.
But I will now.
It just like it's like they're gaslighting themselves to believe that there's something they're not.
Yes. But I will now play devil's advocate, okay? And You know, I don't need to work so hard because I can just tell you exactly what Yuval Noah Harari told us, right? What he said is, listen, I agree with you.
Which he lies.
Okay. He lied.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Let's assume that this is true, okay? Let's not call them liars, even though we think it. Let's make it harder for us let's steelman, okay? I agree with you, but if I don't do this, then I can't do anything because we live in this kind of society, and if I want to be effective, if I want to actually change things, I need to play the game.
Yeah, they will tell us you like your pure idealism.
Yes.
You're being narcissistic.
Yeah.
You want to look good with but you don't really make actually change in the reality, which demands compromises.
I agree with you, but you're being a purist.
Yeah.
You need to be pragmatic. You need to think pragmatically. We want to actually effect change, so we need to do this. What is your answer to this?
Pragmatic, you said?
Yes, pragmatic.
All right, pragmatic. I didn't thought I heard you right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything not pragmatic about the liberation of the Palestinian people. These people are just really don't know. It's funny to say it about Yuval Noah Harari. They don't know a lot of history about oppressed.
We were both quite shocked.
Yeah, about oppressed groups that were liberated, and I think it's important to say to people like Yuval Noah Harari that live in their own this bubble of they're not doing their job, but we really try to get peace, and all this time, all those suggestions of peace, it was just like another suggestion to the Palestinian authorities to go hand in hand with you with oppressing them.
Yes.
But in another way. And I think it's important to also clarify to all those people like Yuval Noah Harari that the Palestinian liberation is how I see it, and it's something that will liberate also the Jewish people. It will liberate them from their prison of mind, and it will liberate them from continuing this blood cycle of violence and wars and hatred that we face for over 76 years. I don't understand how the typical Israeli Jewish family can say things like they're using their children as a force shield while educating their own children, the most precious thing they have in their life, their children. They're willingly sending them, educating them to violence, and then sending them off to not only kill but also to be killed.
Yes. And to corrupt their souls.
Yes,
completely.
exactly. So the liberation will also benefit the Jewish people that will be willing to stay here after the liberation, which in my opinion, it won't be a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think many Jewish people will want to live in.
But not everyone have I
They
guess
don't
the more elites can go, right? But many people don't have place to
many
go.
people will find a way
Find a
anyway.
way to-
Yes.
Yeah, you think their racism is so deep that
So they will be willing to go bankrupt for leaving Israel if it will be actually liberated? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe many of them will say,
Let's see what these have to say.
they will say, I want to go with the I want to drown with the ship, right? This is my identity. I'm not going to give it up for anything.
They're already doing that, and it led
Yes.
to absolutely nowhere. So there will, if we're talking about the stages of after the liberation, go ahead, go drown with it. It already happened. The liberation happened. With what ship you want to sink with, it's already sunk. And because, can you imagine all the Israelis right now who are Zionists will ever be able to live in a state in which the Arabic is also the official language, on which an Arabic person is a prime minister, or is there a constitution that will be written in Arabic and maybe also Hebrew? Do you think that anybody? No, they won't.
I can imagine it, but I'm hopeless optimistic.
All right, I hope I will.
I can imagine it. I can imagine like.
I hope I will be too, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that will happen. A lot of them, even the most purest, the most woke one, for me, I think the minute that they'll be taken of their the Jewish privilege, the Jewish supremacy, they'll just go.
Yeah, actually it makes sense. And I remember I was arguing with a left-wing friend, and at some point, left-wing Zionist friend.
Left-wing.
And at some point she was like, I don't want to live with Arabs.
Exactly.
and it came
you
out.
You said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, they don't want to live with Arabs.
Exactly.
This is the
and you know, it's one that we had, like, I felt we were almost at the same team, you know. Now it's a very thin line. Sometimes you feel like they're almost with you, kind of.
Yeah.
But
then it reverts back.
Yeah,
just snaps back into the
and
supremacy.
then it turns to super bland, open racist remark. I just don't want, or I don't want Arab to be my prime minister.
Yeah.
Or stuff like this.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to today. The present. And what are you doing in the present? What kind of activism? Because I just want to say, Elik and I feel very humbled by watching, hearing about your schedule is daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day you do stuff, and
you got today we were just on the train and I saw your Instagram, you're being harassed by these students in the university. So we thought it's good to share about.
Tell us about this experience. I think this happened 2 days ago, right?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, please tell us about this experience.
So Monday was a rough day. And there was this panel about the Nakba in the University of Haifa that was organized by a Jabha party, Khadash. Already the organizers, knew that it won't go peacefully. Something will definitely happen.
Yes, I remember I was on the WhatsApp group as well, and they published they posted the invitation to this event, and immediately one of the participants wrote, "Listen."
Yeah.
It was you?
No,
it wasn't you. Someone wrote, "Listen, there's going to be trouble there. Prepare yourselves." And so they knew in advance.
Yeah, they knew in advance, and they were ready with a lot of security, but. Most of the people that are working in securities, they were combat soldiers in their past, so they're mostly not in our favors exactly.
No, they're not on our side.
Yeah, no. So I entered to the panel, and there were already a lot of students from התאחדות הסטודנטים.
Students' Union?
The Student Union of Israel and the organization of B'Tselmo. Shai Glick was outside.
So who is Shai Glick?
Shai Glick is the CEO of this thing. They call themselves Jewish Human Rights or something like that.
Yes.
And what they're doing, they are delegitimize Palestinians everywhere, not only students, but mainly students, of speaking their minds. They're trying to say things like we don't want politics in the campuses, but they actually mean we just don't want Palestinians to be Palestinian around me. And they are known for their connection with various fascist groups, about their violent methods of connecting with the military and the police to scatter everything that's related in any way to the Palestinian struggle. For example, not only the panel about the Nakba, for example, the second-hand selling that was in the Purple House of Standing Together, I think it was a month ago, So it was very. It
just a yard sale, kind of a yard sale to help Gaza.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
For the Children of Gaza Fund, and so Shai Glick was there with his supporters and some Israeli flags, and they called the police to raid the yard sale, even though it was illegal. So he does like a lot of things like that. He is also known to politically prosecute students that speaks against Israel or against the IDF.
So he just shames them in public,
yes.
Right? He writes posts and stuff like that.
And the things he do actually does have a lot of influence, because a number of Palestinian students since the 7th of October were on an actual threat of being kicked out from their universities because of things that he posted about them. So they were outside the panel with they had these sweatshirts that was written on them, we don't want the terrorist supporters in our university.
And the terrorist supporters are you.
I am, yeah.
You and your friends.
Exactly.
Also us.
We are also terrorists.
Yes.
Exactly.
To Shai Glick,
yes.
I am a terrorist supporter because I advocate for peace and justice. Okay? So I'm a terrorist
democracy,
supporter.
oh my God.
Yes. So we had a discussion, Elik, a few hours ago about what does it mean when people who demand their freedom, or people who demand justice, or people who demand peace are people that you deem to be violent and terrorists. What does it say about you? That this simple request for peace, justice, freedom, and equality is something that you find so threatening.
Exactly. And I'll just say one thing. I think it's funny / very, very sad. That we're considered terrorist supporters, but Arabs can be terrorist supporters. They can be just they're automatically terrorists. Yes. It doesn't really matter if they actually did anything.
Yeah. We're terrorist supporters, and they're just terrorists.
Yes, exactly. They can be terrorist supporters, even though that if there was any Palestinian here, be sure that tomorrow he was getting arrested.
Yes, this is why it's so difficult for us to speak to Palestinians, especially Palestinians who live here in actual Palestine. It is very dangerous for them to speak up. And there was we want to do an episode about of one state solution, our other podcast, about political persecution under Zionism. And for example, there was a Palestinian Israeli professor in the Hebrew University, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Her name was Shalhoub Kaborkian, right?
Yeah.
So what is her first name? I don't remember.
I think Nadreen.
Nadreen, okay.
Maybe I made it up.
We will write the actual name. We don't remember her first name. We apologize.
It's a shame.
But she did an interview. Okay,
Yeah.
she did an interview in a podcast, a pro-Palestinian podcast, or even a centrist podcast.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. No.
I think it was a pro-Palestinian podcast, and she said some stuff which are facts, or her mild opinions about these facts, and she was arrested, and she went through investigation for days, right?
Yeah.
It was days.
They're still investigating her. By
Yes,
the way.
and she is having problems with her position in the Hebrew University. And this is what happens to any Israeli Palestinian or Palestinian living in the West Bank or in Gaza, obviously, who talks about what is going on here earnestly and openly, right? So that's why they can't.
And I want to say, the interview she did, it was a really long interview. So I think she was there for an hour. And the thing that got her to this kind of trouble, it was because she said she didn't even talk about it lengthily. It was I think 4 words that she said. You're willing to look up what she said. I'm not gonna say it here right now. Even though it's not that terrible, it's actually based on a fact, and that's simply this supposedly theoretically harmless words, 4 or 5 words. Got her into jail, into maybe losing her job, and maybe, by the way, because of her case that's been going, I think it's Betzalmo that they're right now lobbying for a new law to be passed that's professors in the university, if there will be suspected of speaking against Israel, they'll be automatically expelled.
So Betzalmo is another Jewish human rights organization, right?
Yes.
Which is just an extreme right-wing organization.
Yeah.
Well, who is the CEO of this?
Shagley.
Oh, so this is
Shagley.
Shagley. Okay, this is the same.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the same organization.
All right.
So what happened in this event?
Obviously, the protesters are outside. They called us sluts and things like that. So they yelled at us, sweared at us, but it didn't anything dramatically happen. And then suddenly I had to leave the panel early to go to this protest that I will further talk about soon.
Wow, so you're going from
one mess to another. And while me and my friends, while we were leaving the panel, so like these 2 or 3 fascists were just, they didn't only to satisfy them only to like call us sluts like they did, or to say that we should be ashamed of ourselves and calling us again terrorist supporters. They didn't just, no, they had to go like a bit further and also like follow us till we left the building. And after that, just this security, I think that she pretty much told them to stop following us at some point, and they followed us, and they're like you should try to go to Gaza with this crop top you're wearing. Like, okay, dude, and how do I explain them that the solidarity with the Palestinian struggle and to support it, it means that I'm living my own comfort outside of my thinking zone right now, because it's not about me, because it's not about my privileges right now. I don't care right now what you will do to me in Gaza if I wear a crop top. I don't care.
Yeah.
Try to go to Mea Shearim with a crop top. Why are you giving me Gaza? Want me to go like
So Mea Shearim is an
here?
ultra-Orthodox neighborhood in Jerusalem, maybe the most ultra-Orthodox neighborhood.
Yeah, and maybe if you will go to Gaza, you would be killed by Israeli soldiers.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's probably what would happen to you.
And
right?
then he will, like, I don't know, take, like they did to the women of Gaza in this war. They'll take like pictures of what I wear, they post it on social media to try to shame me.
Yes.
For being a woman.
Yes.
And
I always feel that these people that tells you like you're gonna be raped, it's actually they want to do this stuff.
Exactly.
Like
it's projection.
It's projection of their
solidarity crosses borders of culture and religion for me.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, like important, and it's not being said enough. That it doesn't have to do with cultural differences.
So I had to leave early, but like my friend that was still staying in the panel, she told us that in the middle of the panel, they're not sure who does that. They're not sure if it's one of the protesters or one of the security guards, but they rang the fire alarm. So the panel, had to end up early, and after luckily they left in like a group, all the people that came to the panel, and then they were like ambushed by the protesters, by the students that were waiting them outside, and like what I've been told, they wish them to get raped, and then again began to scream at them, and luckily nothing physical happened, nothing too harshly like physical happened to anybody. And after that, I went to a protest, and.
So this guys is just what happened to Gaia in one single evening. Okay, this is how active she is, and this is why Elik and I feel humbled by how much you are committed to this struggle, to being active politically, and to fight for justice and peace and equality.
Liberation for Palestine is a liberation for all of us.
Yes.
And a liberation of Palestine will also mean the end of the American regime in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
it means an end to the wars they're trying to make here and the wars that they're funding.
Maybe we could finally take a car and go to, I don't know where.
I don't know, I want to go to Lebanon if I want.
Lebanon, yeah.
Yeah, it's just 3 hours drive away or something like that. We can just go to Beirut. I can go visit Damascus, where my grandmother was born. You know, we could go freely to everywhere, and just there will be a Middle East that is free and connected and without. You know, I was waiting for an opportunity to tell you what happened. Like I guess an hour ago, while we were having this conversation, I had a moment of. I still have these moments where my Zionist propaganda, something in it dissolves. And I was thinking about the green line, okay? And I was thinking, what made this line? Like, what does this line represent?
Line that
somebody drew a line, but according to what? According to where the refugees of the ethnic cleansing that you did could escape, like you built like these areas, like the reservations of the Native Americans, right?
Yeah.
And then you draw this weird line, and then you present it as if it's something real. And still it was real in my mind, and we were talking, and then I just observed it dissolve, and I just realized how fake it was.
People in the Western world are so easy to believe in every border.
Yeah, in every imaginary line that somebody created.
Like, it's not completely stupidity. It's not a real border. There's no reason any of these borders will exist other than the comfort of like 1% of the people on top that actually maybe control most of the sources of the world. So for me, liberation of Palestine will mean a beginning of maybe an opportunity to a new world order.
Yes, we were talking about it with Yuval yesterday, that the liberation of Palestine for us it's a beginning of something.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not just
the beginning of a worldwide process, and maybe just a microcosm. We always say that it's a microcosm of what's going on in the entire world, and we know, we can see it, that when people understand what is going on here, because it's so extreme, everything is so obvious, they something happens to them and they go, oh, but this is happening in my own country as well. This is happening all around the world, and then Palestine is like the key to like the liberation of the entire world.
And that's why so many people around the world connected to it, because it's a symbol for, I think, many other struggles as well. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So you went from we're in the story, right? Like,
yes, we're inside the story.
So there was on Monday a protest following the attack on Rafah, and it was the second Palestinian-led protest in Haifa since October. The first one in October was violently dispersed. Many people went up to the hospital. Many more were arrested. Some people that were arrested on the first protest in October were in house arrest for like 3 months after, Palestinian obviously, and so it's this riot that happened in October following this protest really took a toll on the Palestinian resistance groups of Haifa, because a lot of them felt too scared, that there was too much to lose, and not enough to gain, to risk their own lives right now for a protest.
Yes.
And so the terror of the police force, of the authorities, actually succeeded this time.
This is real terrorism.
Yeah.
Look, everyone, look.
Yeah.
What is terrorism? Terrorism is when you scare people into not being free, right? And this is what the Zionist regime is doing, using the police, using the military, and this is what countries and other oppressive regimes all around the world are doing. They are terrorists. They are the real
terrorists. Please see that this is the opposite of what they are telling you. The real terrorists are the cops. The real terrorists are the judges. The real terrorists are the politicians.
And
These
the soldiers.
are the real, and the soldiers.
And all right, so we went to the protests, and like I was over the moon with how many people came.
Okay, how many?
Around 250 people came.
Okay.
It
It's
was
like huge number.
it's huge, and it was like there's this part of the ideology of the Palestinian resistance is we're not asking for police permission for protests, especially this kind of protests that were without any speeches and without blocking the road, so it doesn't even require by law a police approval. So it was actually, I think it was the largest protest in Haifa since the beginning of the war without police approval. By the way.
Yeah, okay.
And we began. It actually like half hour in, I was really, I was began to feel hopeful that we'll finish this protest in peace,
Without violence.
in like without losing anything in our bodies or something.
Couldn't hold themselves.
No, they couldn't. And there was also like this, like I said before with the women that called us rats, there was like this small protest of Zionists with the Israeli flags. But like
a counter protest.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so half hour in, and then a friend of mine dared to raise the Palestinian flag, a small one, really. It was like this or something, like really small. And of course, the police violently took it from his hand with pushing, but nobody got arrested. Amazing! How can it be?
Yeah.
I must be dreaming. And so we continued without the Palestinian flags. We didn't had any with the signs, and the signs said, "Stop the genocide, free Palestine." For me, it was I held a sign that says, "This is what a genocide looks like," with a child that's staring blankly at the camera, all in fear and dirt around him. Everything is burnt.
Yes.
And so there were signs like that, mostly in Arabic and English. And suddenly, without any warning, the police just came, and like it never come in like one. It's always like
they
a
swarm
gang
in.
of them. Yeah.
They get the order.
Yes.
They wait for the moment, and then the chief officer says,
Yeah.
okay, go. And then they swarm. It's not a reaction to anything.
Yeah.
We need to say this. ACAB. Okay? It's always, the protesters are always peaceful, and then the police are the one who start the violence. Please, if you're a liberal and you think that the police is the one protecting the peace, please, you are stupid. You do not understand reality. And please come to a protest one time and see what actually happens with your own eyes. Yuval Noah Harari, come to a protest with us one time. You will see.
And then you call us rats.
Yeah.
So they swarm on, I think, this one woman with a sign, I don't remember what it said in Arabic, and they just like took her while even being more violent. No, sorry, I messed up the story. No, before that, they came, they swarmed at us, and they actually took the banner we held. There was three people held a banner, this huge banner that says "Stop the massacre in Gaza," not even genocide, a massacre in Gaza in Arabic. And the police man just came and took the banner, ripped it, and then arrested all the three that held the banner. And then we continued to protest, and then they swarmed again, and they took this. That was like. That's how everything pretty much, I think, really began to be violent. They took her banner, and then they're just like, tried to like, I don't know, they tried to beat her or something, and she tried to run away, and they managed to catch her and to drag her to the police car. But on the way to the police car, you can see like on all the videos that they're twisting her arms in different ways in trying to.
This
to
is a
cause her
Palestinian
damage.
woman.
No. Oh wait.
Okay.
No, sorry, she is.
She is a Palestinian.
She is a Palestinian woman.
Okay.
And later on, we found out that they broke her hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And after that, the attacks of the police on us that are focusing on the signs that we have, because they always like came and like trying to pull the sign and also pull you to the ground with it. And so they came and they ripped signs, but still like the protest was going. There, you can feel some fumes rising because the violence that we endured, because more people were beginning to arrest after that woman and after the three that held the banner.
To get arrested. People were getting arrested at this point.
Yeah, like things were hitting there. But still, we maintained the protest actually until the chief police officer shouted at us, "This is an illegal protest." It wasn't. And if you want scattered within 5 minutes, we will scatter the protest with force.
Yes.
So we didn't scatter. There were some people that I noticed that were like a bit, they didn't left, but they were like a bit from the behind of the sidewalk. So it like ended like me and like maybe 5 or 6 more people that were in the front of the sidewalk, and like
you
this
know,
huge
like, no
people.
way, we're not gonna.
No.
Mhm.
But okay, but it's fine. At least they continued the protests. They just like went back a bit, so to minimize the chance of them being arrested or beaten, because most of them were Palestinians.
Yes.
Arrest for Palestinians very different.
Yes.
From Jewish people.
This is how the supremacist structure of the system also expresses itself. If I were to get arrested, my life would be slightly inconvenienced. If a Palestinian citizen of Israel were to be arrested, no one knows. No one knows what would happen to them.
Yeah, their citizenship doesn't protect them.
Yeah, it doesn't protect.
Not as much as our citizenship protects us.
Exactly. And 5 minutes went through, and then all hell broke loose. They began to push everybody aside. They didn't care if you're man, woman, a child, old or young. They pushed everybody, and they start like swinging fists everywhere and kicking, and people will like begin to like trying to run away from them, from the violence. They didn't want to get beaten up by a police officer, but they continued. They didn't care that already the protest pretty much will not be as before. They didn't care about that. Right now, they just want to let their aggression out.
Yes.
And there were some people that were still holding signs in this part. Pretty much every sign, even that one that weren't taken by the police officers, each sign was like already wrinkled and maybe a bit torn up. So people like still holding out and shaking with their ripped and ruined signs, and some of them were trying to try to chant slogans.
Like which slogans?
I don't remember right now.
But Free Palestine? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Free Palestine, or this one slogan in Arabic that also said, we can't wait anymore, every Zionist out. It rhymes in Arabic, it's actually a really good one. But
please, for our Israeli viewers, please notice that they are saying every Zionist out, and not every Jew out, right? There is a difference between Jews and Zionists. Jews is a religion or an ethnicity, whatever you want to call it. Zionist is an ideology, and the ideologies can be let go.
Exactly. And
you can be also just give up your Zionism. It's not so difficult.
And then no one will be against you.
And even for the opposite, if things will be better for you.
Yes.
Right. And I can tell you about. I want to tell you about like the things that I saw. I don't want to only describe what happened. So in 1 minute, everybody at this point were pretty much everywhere across the sidewalk. People like screamed in fear, and people were pushed to the ground. Like they hit them like they hit flies, but like stronger. They treat them like they treat flies.
Yes.
And so in some point, I'm like so lost in the chaos for a second, because I also lost most of the friends that I came with. So like I was like pretty much all alone, and I wasn't sure if my friends were kidnapped by the police, or if they're wounded somewhere, or if they're maybe okay across the street. I didn't know where they were. So, but it doesn't really matter right now. And I saw this young Palestinian man, and there were like 4 cops on him, and they like choked him and punched him, and he's screaming at him that he doesn't reject. He doesn't understand why they're kicking him. Like,
wow,
and
it really reminds like the George Floyd.
Yes. I thought about that exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can't help but thinking about.
And he was screaming, "I'm a lawyer," and
Really?
They arrested him. And there was, before that, also, even before we were scattered, this other Palestinian man, he held a sign that he didn't like. So, again, also him, right, they pushed him to the ground. His face was, like, inside the pavement, and, like, millions of cops, like, on him, on top of him. Again, even though he wasn't rejecting.
Right? To be so many people,
Yes.
like, on one.
It's actually insane.
And you know the myth of the Israeli war of independence, right?
Yeah.
The few against the many. What happened to this myth, guys? Now you are many against few,
Yeah.
and you're still losing.
And they're still thinking, they're like living in this illusion that they're still like the victims.
Yes,
They're still this
yes.
small little pure thing.
It wasn't even true back then. Let's
Yeah.
just say this. This myth wasn't even true in
Exactly.
48, and
Exactly.
and it's not even close to being true.
Yeah. And so after that, this other woman, I began to like try to find out my friends. So I began to like run a bit across the street on the pavement, and again around me everybody's like just trying to just like run away from the police officers that in one point also came with horses.
Yes.
Horses equipped with whips and whips, they said.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And
Like clubs or
no,
actual whips.
yeah, actual whips.
Whips. They use. This is. And now I can't help
Yeah.
by thinking about slavery, like
Yeah.
about the slave owners. What the fuck is
Yeah.
going on with you? You're using whips.
And and then I see this man shoving this woman, Palestinian woman, on the ground, and she just, and I helped her to on her feet, but she was like she already like looked very scared. It doesn't matter that the police, that this one particular officer let her go after that. She was still like, because it's hard. No matter I think the level of violence that a cop shows you, it's always terrifying, because you know you can't do anything to protect yourself.
Yes. If you do anything, you will be charged with attacking,
Exactly.
assaulting a police officer.
And like you feel so helpless. It doesn't matter how strong and big you are. You just, the minute you get beaten by a cop, no matter how, you just feel, I don't know, I don't want to say shame, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. They should be ashamed, but this kind of like helplessness, like you feel so small and humiliated sometimes.
And then they say like, what's gonna happen if we abolish the police? We're gonna be so unsafe.
Yeah.
Like, and then you give all the power to these people, and you're defenseless against them, and they can do what they want.
Probably some of the worst people to have power in the world.
Yeah, they're recruiting the specific egomaniacs for this reason, because normal people with not many mental problems won't do things like that. People who are mentally stable, they probably won't want to lash out on innocent people.
Yes.
And I began to walk a bit to the place that I was first at to try to fight for my friend, and then I have to mention that some of the policemen already like they changed their clothes to like full tactic gear.
Oh shit! They're playing soldiers as
Yeah.
well.
And they were already ready with with this smoke grenade to throw at us. It didn't happen. But if it would have happened, it would remind a lot of May 21 events, because it's pretty much how it started. And so this police officer with this full tactic gear began to shove me, and then I'm trying to stabilize myself, and then I see this hand being thrown at me to my face, and then I got punched, and then I was on the ground for a few minutes, and then I looked around to see where's my friends, where everybody's in fear, everybody's themselves getting beaten up, because around people were actually also getting beaten up over the same police officer that punched me, or from one another. And so I went there, then I see this woman, and I think she has this sparkly phone case, and then she just she tried to tell me in Arabic that it's okay, and I think she tried to tell me that she filmed that, but I didn't manage to find her again, because very quickly an officer began to also push her to the ground and beat her, and her phone was flew over to the ground, and luckily I was able to grab the phone before the police officer grabbed them, because every time, in every protest, but it was actually the first time that I actually saw it, that police, if they found phones that are obviously belong to protesters that were beaten up and thrown their phone or lost it, they're taking it. They don't try. They know who this phone is belong to, because they are just being beaten up by their colleague. But they're not going to give them back. No, they're keeping it to their face.
They confiscate it.
Yes.
Yes.
So I found her phone, and she began to scream at the officer, and then I told her to come with me, she took over me in, because she was furious with the police officer. Just come with me, please come with me. I have your phone. And then we began again to run, and then they came with the horses, and I don't know if you were ever chased by horses, but this is pretty terrifying. And it was seeing demons, because it was already dark outside, and they come full military unit on us.
It's like the riders from the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
What's their name? How they call
Yes.
But I need to say something. I will not forgive myself if I don't point this out.
I know what you're going to say.
Please notice that these people are violent towards other people, but they are also at the same time violent towards animals, and this goes together. The exploitation and the abuse of non-human animals, and the abuse of human animals. Violence is violence, and abuse is abuse, and domination is domination, and supremacy is supremacy, and we want to end all of them.
Yeah, I don't
Every
think the
single
horses,
one.
Don't think the horses will choose by their own will to chase protesters.
No,
And
it's the last thing they want to do.
These horses are always so beautiful and majestic, but you can as I ran away from them, because I didn't want to that a horse will walk on top of me, because I thought that I'm gonna make it if it will ever happen, or I also didn't want to meet another cop. So we were a lot of people were just running from the streets, trying, but we were really desperate to try to capture enough video to capture the horrors, and it was difficult, because every time the police officer saw a phone in front of him, no matter how far it is, he will come to you and just
and slap it out of your hand.
Yeah, it won't end there. He'll arrest you, or he'll kick you. He'll do something to you.
Look at how many levels of oppression and violence. They are doing a genocide, and now they are beating up the protesters against it. And then when they film these actions of beating up the protesters, they will beat you up for filming it, and then it goes further. And
it's
every
the same. It's interesting that I think how many journalists Israel is killing. It's always this thing that's trying to you kill people and then you try to prevent them, like document. So here it's not the same level of violence, but it's still similar patterns in a way.
And after I got punched in the face, like I was okay, but like during this time that we ran away, and I saw in my face like this military, and they walk so confidently because they know we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And and you look into their eyes and you see hatred. There's no other way to describe it. And like as I ran away and like I'm trying to find my friends and trying to, I don't know what I even trying to find, a savior or some kind, I don't know.
Wow.
I just like realized that I just got punched in the face by a cop and that I was actually in fact like pretty much in pain. And so like I just like, and like I see everybody like on the ground and I see this man like running with this handicapped woman that was in the protest because she can't run for herself, so we had to run with her. So and I was like beginning to like cry because like I was like it's not yeah. What is happening? Like it's not the first time I'm getting beaten up by cops, but like I don't know. I guess it's like
it sounds like extreme.
Yes, exactly. Every time
I'm feeling fear now. Should we be afraid? Like
yes.
Let's
Yes, you should.
Should
All
we
the
be
time.
afraid of speaking? Like I want to tell our audience.
Should
that
be afraid from what we're doing now.
Yes.
Sometimes I have like, because I'm not, I must say it, like I feel like Alon said that he feels like humble. I'm not as, like I think if I would be there, I would find a way to somehow.
I would just run away.
But
maybe we couldn't. Maybe
you can't.
And I was minutes from going to this protest. By the way, I almost joined you, and but my girlfriend and I were tired, so we went home. But we almost went, and I don't know what would have happened to me. Like this is.
Yeah.
And Elik tells me in our conversations, please tell the audience what goes on through your mind.
No, we have this ongoing conversation all the time, like if it's safe to do what we're doing here.
Yes. At what point?
Like, because I always have the memory of my grandfather, who heard like Hitler's speeches on the radio in Poland. And he knew he was about to conquer like Poland, and he understood that this is dangerous and he has to run away. And he tried to convince his parents, and they didn't run away. And he went by himself. He gathered like 2 friends and said, "Let's go to Russia," and that's how he saved his life.
And his parents were
killed in Auschwitz.
Yes.
And all his 10 brothers and sisters. He came from.
Fuck.
Yeah. And sometimes I think, do we have to be smarter? Do we have to think about it? I don't know. Like it's tough. And when do you know when it's too late?
Yeah, at what point? Sometimes when you realize it's already too late, right?
Or maybe you say, I'm just ready to be martyred or whatever. Just like, have this sense of, like giving yourself to the cause. But I have part in me that says, I don't know, maybe I just want to run away from all this and make music somewhere. And like, sometimes I have these thoughts, like, and I know many of my friends, this is what they're doing. Like the Zionists are, like, I feel running away is more like a Zionist behavior in a way.
Time, yeah.
This is why I keep thinking that we are Palestinians. Look, like, first of all, I just need to tell this to our audience. First of all, I've been thinking this. I am technically Palestinian. I was born in a land that I believe very deeply is called Palestine. Okay? What does that make me, by definition? Palestinian. Mm-hmm. And I am tired of being ashamed of this thought that is just a technical truth. Okay? And more I feel myself connected to this land. And it is a fact that we were all born in this land. And we feel a connection to this land. This is why we're here. This is why we're trying to make this land better. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe at some point we will have to escape. But for me, it's becoming more and more clear that the reason that I'm staying here is because I'm Palestinian and I want to fight for Palestine.
I feel I would be qualified to call myself Palestinian when this regime ends, and
Yes.
and maybe Palestinian will become civil identity that includes Jews and all the people who are willing to live in equality.
Like it was
this
in
sense.
the beginning of the 20th
Yeah.
century. This is what it meant to be Palestinian. You could be Jew, you could be Muslim, you could be Christian, you could be an atheist. You were born in Palestine, you were Palestinian. It was just a neutral term for a geographical origin,
Yeah.
I think that Israel is doing a really, I don't know how to describe it, but she's still doing a job of erasing the Palestinian identity. So maybe after the liberation it will also hard for us maybe to call ourselves Palestinians because the Israeli government managed to do such a separation between us all, and it doesn't actually matter if someone is actually Palestinian or ideologically Palestinian. It doesn't matter. Just like the Israeli brainwash machine works extra hours around the Palestinian identity, and
this is what I feel that this is what they're trying to erase also in Gaza, right? They want to erase the demand of return of the refugees, which is a big part, I think, of the Palestinian identity. What is all their fight about UNRWA and all the fight against refugees and stuff? Like they want to kill the story, they want to kill the narrative. Kind of.
And I think I can also see this kind of separation from people and their identities. It's like what they did to Mizrahi Jews.
Yes. Mizrahi just means Jews that came from Middle Eastern or North African countries, basically. That's what it means.
And Israel, what they did is just like they stripped them from their identity as Arabs and called them something else, so they won't accidentally
align with the Palestinians.
Yeah. So they won't feel any kind of connection with them.
I must say that in this thing it feels like the Zionists really succeeded.
They succeeded, greatly.
They succeeded in all the erasure projects that they did for the Jewish population as well, like to erase all the diaspora identity in a way.
It reminds me that in one of my Arabic lessons in my short period of time in Ben Gurion University, Be'er University as I prefer to call it, in Be'er Sheva, in the south of
Because you
Palestine.
don't like Ben Gurion.
Yeah, I don't like Ben Gurion, and it's a different podcast. And in the first day of the semester, she told us a bit about her life, that her mom is from Iraq, that Arabic is our mother's language. This is her first language. Hebrew is actually her second language. She's Jewish, and then she began to talk about how that after the 7th of October she was so ashamed to be around Arabics or to even speak Arabic.
But she doesn't get that it's a self-hatred in a way? Like
No,
if
she
it's
doesn't.
her mother language, what does it mean? Like your mother language is part of who you are.
In her opinion, she's not Arabic, and that's what's important. In her opinion, she's Jewish, which makes her morally superior.
So please let's make this very explicit. Elik and I talk a lot about how Zionism, how Zionists are also the victims of Zionism.
Yeah.
Please see how this woman, she has been stripped of a huge part of her identity. And how does one feel when such a part of their identity is taken away and they are made to feel shame for it? They feel insecure. They feel like they are not connected to anything. And what do people who feel not connected and insecure do? They become violent.
Yeah.
They become deranged. So when people ask us, how does a society become like this? This is another part of this story, right?
Yeah, they're outplaying the oppression that they have been going through.
Yes. Okay, so I think we've been
for a long time, huh?
We've been talking for a long time, so maybe let's start wrapping things up a little bit.
About scaring, I just want to go back to that for a second. I want
Yes,
to tell
yes.
a fun anecdote.
Yes.
So about how should we be scared or not?
Mhm.
So I think it was in January. I made a speech in a Jabha protest that was in Haifa. Jabha, again, it's a political party. In Hebrew, it's Chadash.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a protest in Haifa, and I made a speech, and in one point the police became violent and confiscated signs with troubled words that they didn't like genocide or Palestine or things like that.
Yes, the words are the problem, not
Yeah.
the acts
Exactly.
that these words describe.
So in one point after I made my speech, I became like really, really angry. So like I began like to so I just like cynically said something like thank you for the Israel police for beating up all of these people and also taking these signs. I feel so much more secure after you say that. And then I continued to say things like the police aren't here to protect us. And 2 days later, they raided my parents' house.
Really?
And they tried to find criminalizing things about me. And when my mother asked what did she do, my mother was terrified at this point.
Yes.
She thought I joined ISIS, and they told her they succeeded to scare her good. They told her she's accused of incitement.
Wow.
To terrorism.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
we
violence.
are considered.
I don't remember.
We are considered the terrorists. We
Yeah.
are considered the violent one. Those who call in fascism reverses everything, and under fascism, those who call for peace are considered violent, and those who are violent are considered peaceful. This is when you are disturbing the peace. What peace are you disturbing? You are the peace. You are disturbing the peace of the violent ones. Okay, the peace.
So I wanted to ask, maybe it seems super harsh experiences, like even traumatizing, like to me, I don't know. And of course, like I know when you're in the activism, you feel like compared to what the Palestinians are going through, like it's not maybe it's not a big, but still like how do you maintain your, like how do you go on? Like you came here, you said, do you come to a protest on like it seems like you're kind of fine and
How are you not scared?
yeah, how are you not scared? How do you if and it's a question to, you know, I'm like, to me my activism is this, and I'm also kind of new. I wish I would become more kind of brave in the going up to the streets thing, because I have many things that I want to do, but like how do you keep it going? Maybe I'm trying to think what is the question exactly, but
I think I understood.
yeah.
I think it's pretty. Alright. Bottom line, I am scared, but it's for me to let go of thinking about the things that I have to lose that helps me to keep going and to not actually be afraid of the things that I will lose and already lost because of the things that I'm doing and because of my general political opinions. And all these experiences of violence and verbally, physical, all those abuses by the authorities, they're just making me believe in what I'm doing even more. It shows me that there's something to fight about, and like the protest on Monday, the number of people that came and the fact that the majority of them were Palestinians and that have much more to lose than me decided to come, even though again it was harsh experience. For me it gave it gives me hope to see that I'm not alone. It's very easy to feel sometimes. It's not the violence that sometimes makes me question my choices. It's actually the fact that it's very easy to feel like you're drowning and to feel all alone. And like you see all those Israeli flags around, and you try like to sometimes ask yourself like, why it makes me so upset to see these flags all around me? But then I realized that I can't just sit aside while the whole world is burning around me. That I don't want to be one of the passive people that just sit aside while their country is committing a genocide by their name. I really believe in my ideology. I really believe in the Palestinian liberation, the Palestinian resistance, and to sit aside won't make me happier. Actually, just make me more miserable, and everybody around me more miserable, and it will just contribute to this system that's trying to make us feel frustrated.
I really feel like and resonated. The more, when I'm not talking, I'm going to depression and I feel bad. And the more I do, I suddenly feel like more energy in my body. I feel like
Please, Elik, tell us the title of the song you sang earlier today.
It's a new song that we'll get to the album. So it says like, Palestine, oh Palestine, by calling for your freedom, I will set me free. That's a song.
So I think this sums up this conversation very well. So let's thank the audience for staying with us for such a long episode again. We apologize for the length. There's a lot to talk about.
We can do another, I think, too, with Gaia, like with all the guests.
Yes, every guest we had, we could go on for 3 more hours. So thank you so much again, Gaia, for joining us and for telling us all these experiences that you had, and just your view of reality is so sober and so precise and
it strengthens me as well.
Yes. I think we both feel empowered talking to you. And again, thank you everybody, and peace and justice for all.